The human community is like a family, sharing the same space, air, food, and water. Indeed, all life on Earth can be regarded as one big family, for we are all connected and share the same home. For too many years, humankind has taken more from the Earth than we have given back. While the Earth can help herself to some extent, we have reached a critical point where human beings must be proactive in giving their wholehearted support to the planet. As man-made and natural disasters escalate, our planet faces critical issues as never before. In addressing these issues, each of us has a responsibility which requires our urgent and committed involvement to find real solutions. The great challenge before us also presents a great opportunity for personal and social transformation. A conference held in May 2010 in the Newton Hotel, Nairn, Scotland, organized by the Shen Foundation, set to explore how we can transform ourselves, our cultures, and our communities into a new eco-civilization that takes care of the present and future generations of our family and the home we call Earth, long beyond 2012.
Welcome everybody here, and that's a great moment to be here.
Four main objectives were set for the conference. First, to provide a vision of this eco-community. Second, to align on the basic equality of eco-community citizenship. Thirdly, to discuss and define the framework for the future world. And finally, to discover practical solutions for the structuring of our new eco-civilization. The Beyond 2012 conference kicked off on May 17 by inspecting the challenge and opportunity of 2012 and posing the questions: what is the significance of the date 2012, and how to creatively respond to these changes and challenges. The day ended full of fruits for the understanding of the 2012 scenario, with plenary sessions in the morning and parallel workshops in the afternoon. Speakers of wisdom and conference participants from all parts of the world jointly shared their sparkling words and works.
Even though 2012 is a very specific date which causes a lot of curiosity, it causes a lot of questions, and it's also causing some anxiety, I want to speak about the far bigger picture of 2012. I want to speak about what that is representing and why. So, let's look first at our current approach. Here we are, all beings together on planet Earth. It's the one thing we all share. Our presence here is so universal, and yet it's the one thing that we don't all subscribe to. So our current approach on Earth deals with separation, it deals with borders, it deals with lots of different laws, it deals with segregation and separation, but very rarely does our presence, our provision for humanity, deal with our universality, what is unified, what we share, what is similar. Would we say that our stewardship of the planet so far in this last 5,000 years has been successful? The reason I say the last 5,000 years is there's been previous civilizations before that time, always in 5,125 year segments. We're talking about this period that we're in now. Would we say that the way we are living on Earth right now in today's time is the optimal expression of what's possible? Heart coherence is developed when we are in a state of alignment. Alignment comes, in my parlance, in my language, my understanding, through allowing that which is universal to move through you in the moment and reveal itself through your being. So your being is like a transmitter station for what is universal. So this technology measures your ability to do that. That is actually measuring your physiological indicators which tell us whether your heart and your brain are in coherence, and that can only happen when your being is in coherence. I want you all to close your eyes too, and I want you all to send Margaret your appreciation and your gratitude and your encouragement and your goodwill. You're holding her in full coherence now. Yes, it's useful in this kind of situation to look at this technology and see, wow, it's amazing. It can really show us where we're at. It can really show us what we're feeling. But unless we apply that feeling, unless we apply what we know to our day-to-day life, not much is going to change on the planet. It gives us the start of a relationship with existence that changes all of the fundamental attitudes and beliefs and assumptions that we have about who we are. Because if we look at the planet that we live on, we can see that it's not in the structure of how life is formed here that the mismatch is happening. That whole structure, that whole web of humanity is made up by 7 billion individuals all relating themselves on an individual level to existence. And it's that relationship which is damaged, not the planet, not humanity itself, certainly not the structure and function of the design, because they got that right first up. The emotions we feel are simply the imprinted energetic structure of our thought living in our cellular structure. The words that we say and the actions we take are based on those mental assumptions and those emotional feelings. So if the root is not there, everything that grows from that root will be missing also. So we have to understand that is the root of life, that is the root of all existence. When we find that connection, everything that comes from that will follow on likewise.
What 2012 means, what the phenomenon is, what it doesn't mean. It's not, there's no point in being needlessly scared, neither is there any point in ignoring impending danger, and I'd like to help sort out the one from the other. Mayan prophecy and contemporary solar physics, both pointing to 2012 as a year of tremendous importance, And what he said was he thought that 2012 would be the birth of a new era, and like any other birth, it would bring joy and blood and pain. So the stormiest period, or one of the two stormiest periods ever recorded on the face of the sun, coincided with one of the stormiest periods ever recorded on the face of the earth. Maybe there's a connection. What I believe is the most important report of the 21st century. The National Academy of Sciences found that our electrical power grid that supplies electricity to just about every home, business, and institution in the world is gravely vulnerable to these solar blasts. That up to 130 million Americans alone, just Americans, could be without electricity for months or years if we get hit by a solar blast of the type that can issue from the sun. But the next likely time for that, the next red zone, the next time we really have to go on red alert for this, is late 2012. The solar climax of late 2012, early 2013. That's when the sun will be at its most active, and that's when the likelihood of the biggest blasts, they will come. Whether they're big enough and whether they hit the earth, we don't know. But it's certainly something to prepare for. Just take one moment and reflect on the enormity of what the damage would be for civilization to be without electricity for months or years. It's unfathomable. Some people said there's a pole shift going on where magnetically the North Pole would move south and the South Pole would move north. Apparently this happens every 70,000 years or so, scientists believe. The consensus of the scientists was that we are set up for a really, really large event, as they call it, in 2012. And we're moving toward the climax of 2012, where the sunstorms are going to be fierce. The magnetic field is open. Fierce storms are coming, and the National Academy of Sciences has said that our power grid is vulnerable, is lying there waiting to be shorted out. Whenever the global ecosystem has been challenged with a new injection of energy by some evolutionary development or by an impact of a comet or an asteroid, it develops. Evolution leaps. We proceed faster. After the chaos comes a period of rebuilding and greater organization than ever before. So ultimately things will work out just fine. It's very difficult to make this kind of change, but it's absolutely necessary. And remember, the next climax of solar storms, the next red zone for these storms hitting us, knocking out the power grid, is 2012. Late 2012, early 2013. We've got time, not much, but we've got time to prepare.
We have an old world that is in decline and a new world that's coming into being. But there's a point in life where you say there's so much going on in the world that seems to be of dissolution. There's a swirling change and uncertainty, a tumultuous change going on over here. And as a human being, I'm thrown around in the change. But my best sense of my best understanding of how to be useful in this time is to not be in that system, to understand the patterns and the flows of energy within it, to be able to then carefully and precisely apply my very small energy in a very effective way. So when one can live in that possibility of a future that's collaborative and loving and sustainable, then one can create from that future. If we can have a framework for creating this new civilization together, then we can each find ourselves and make sense. If we have a framework, then we can rate ourselves against that framework. We can transform democracy. We can say, here is our vision of the future, How does our village, our town, our city, our country look in this framing of the future? We could say that we are pushing up against the barrier of complexity, and as human beings, as humanity, we need to find new ways to organize ourselves. We need to discover real collaboration that can project us into new ways of working together. So if you're leading a multinational or a government, pay great attention to the systems and processes that give rise to the life and the quality of collaboration within your organization.
Next year began, it was 2009, began the bombing in Gaza. This is the spot that I was saying in the Dead Sea, just there before the border. But what I'm talking about now is building a place here. There's also one area where Israelis and Palestinians can arrive without checkpoints and permits. And there, in the Judean desert, and they're not inspiring. And if we want people to start connecting on the heart level, we have to open the heart. And for me, I know that I get my heart opened in an inspiring place where I feel Mama, I feel Pachamama, I feel the earth. Beautiful work that's done in Tamera involves creating trust and transparency in community. They have an incredible tool called the Forum, which happens every day in this community, which is actually a space for people to get up and show themselves and share their darkest sides and their right, whatever, and to get reflections from the community. But most important, to see that actually what they're sharing is very common, and actually there is a historical story about it. The ultimate vision is to train and empower a regional community of change makers, of activists that are able, as all the things we've been hearing about the last few days, as the sun starts to explode on us and as the volcanoes get crazier and all these things that may come, that they're able to hold their ground and help their families and their community stay sane. And they can do that because they are supported by each other. I'm going to help the healing of the earth, and when you go that way, you are guided and you are so protected, and angels all over. And that's kind of the path that we have to walk now, I think, a path of the heart and the courage.
The Transition Town Network doesn't mean that it has to be a transition town, a town per se. It can be a village, a forest, an island, or a neighborhood. It is based on the concept of being a grassroots, a community-led initiative. It is very much a party and not a protest march. And with the help of the internet, it spread all over. It got interest from all over the world, and by now there are more than 300 official transition initiatives around the world and several thousand that are working on it. And the positive solution we're seeking is the solution to the twin drivers of peak oil and climate change. We try to inspire and encourage and support and train people to do something, individuals to get a chance to do something. Food security is one big area of where resilience is low at the moment. When the planes stop flying, we get no food. The vision of Transition Town Forest is to create a vibrant and sustainable local community with social and economic resilience to meet the challenges of climate change. This is our farmers market, and I'm here listing some of our projects. Our group of gardeners, we have up to 70 gardeners who share a community garden, which is similar to an allotment. This is a bit of hard work, and the garden is slowly taking shape. And here you have some examples of what the garden looks like now. We decided to do round pods instead of square allotments, very much to honor the edge in between everything. It has become a true community space where people work together. We have a vermiculturist group that is worms. That's composting with the help of tiger worms, which creates much richer compost, which we can then use in the garden. We have other plans for how to use it as well. I think that everyone can act in some capacity, be it that you help out at the farmers market, be it that you travel the world and give lectures, or be it that you just bring your children down to an allotment.
The womb stage from conception to birth, it's a 7 period, is a vibrational stage. Once we leave birth to 7 years old, we enter an energy and motion state, an emotional state. And we accept that children are emotional beings. This goes on until about 21. At 21, we have a big party, right? We have our 21st, and the 21st is celebrated just as it was in indigenous communities. It's celebrated because by the time we're 21, we have arrived. And by arriving, what we have done is we have brought in with us something, which in this work we call imprinting. This is a very interesting, this pathway of awareness. The pathway of awareness is deliberate. Anything that's unfamiliar to me in my experience will not cause me to run. It'll cause me to stand in the space and discern. Anger is a different sort of energy. Anger unconsciously, anger is like friction. In our own lives, there is no expression for anger. Now, most of us can't see where our anger is. It's very simple if you want to look at your life and see where your anger is, because it's not going to be visible until we have developed felt perception. We don't have insight. We can't see in. We only have outsight.
In the evening, at the Universal Hall of Findhorn Eco-Village, we embarked on a rhythm and sound journey. Participants took part in the free dancing session to immerse themselves into the universe. On May 18th, the conference focused on defining a framework for a new way of living by looking at the structures and practical visions of eco-communities worldwide in order to pave the way for a collaborative future.
great to be with you. And I really am excited to share this with you.
So each circle has its own perspective. It's individual, but each circle is part of the whole structure. What you call the physical world is 0.000001% of what's there. And my God, we spend a lot of time concentrating on that point. And while we do, we completely, pun intended, space out the 99.99999% of what's there. This quote is directly out of the book Gravitation. Present-day quantum field theory gets rid by renormalization process of an energy density in the vacuum that would formerly be infinite. Let me say that again. Energy density in the vacuum that would formerly be infinite is not removed by this renormalization. So it turns out that when you try to calculate how much energy there is in the space inside the vacuum of the atom, there is infinite amount of energy. You know what? We're on a planet with a whole bunch of people running around holding their head going, my God, there's just not enough energy for everybody. That a centimeter cube of space, if you click again, even renormalized, has a density of 10 to the 93 grams per centimeter cube. 10 with 93 zero. You know, that's a lot. I don't know if you all notice in your bank account when you add a zero, things improve very rapidly. Well, imagine if you had 50 zeros and you're still adding them all the way to 10 to the 93. How much is that? It's hard to visualize. Let me give you an example. Let's click again. Let's take a centimeter cube of space and put all of the stars in the universe in it. Every single one we see with the Hubble. We see billions of galaxies. Each galaxy has billions of stars. And more stars are much, much, much larger than our sun. So it's important to remember that. And that we're all, in a way, part of everybody else. And so we're all choosing, in a way, this level of evolution. So we have to choose a different one. And we can choose it individually and have an impact on the whole. And so that's what's important, is a large part of my message, is that we are connected, and we have to realize that we're both being influenced by the environment, meaning by the morphogenic field of all societies on Earth. Most influence comes from the societies on Earth because it's the largest gravitational field we're in, because we're close to it, the surface. The influence changes if you're in the solar system or if you're in the galaxy, but that's another story. This actually is an analog to conscious evolution. Conscious evolution is actually literally becoming aware of a larger fractal structure, of a larger scale. For instance, to become morphogenically linked to the gravitational field of our solar system or our galaxy. And that's what I call becoming a galactic being.
If I'm going to design for ecology to be enhanced, instead, if I am doing like a pond in an eco-village, if I do a pond that is just circular, I just have this amount of edges to maximize. But if I create a pond that has many entrances like that, I'm maximizing the edges. I have more edges, so I have more diversity, I have more life. So collectively, it's very clear we need to change. You know, we have all the scientific evidence, and we don't need to articulate this in this sort of conference, because we all know that if we want to survive as a species, we need to redesign our lifestyles. Basically, we have already gone beyond the carrying capacity of the Earth. In eco-villages, our task is to deliver more quality with less resources for the benefit of the whole system. So, less resources, more quality for the benefit to the system that we are embedded. In our classrooms, we are looking at how to replace our extractive economy with one that functions on current sunlight, how settlements can eliminate the concept of waste, using energy and materials with greater efficiency, how the built environment may capture the natural energy flows, the manifest movement of the sun, the predominant winds, the relief and rocky system, the hydrate resources, the forest reserves, to create productive cycles in the system. So some of, more in detail, some of the topics, how to prevent structural conflict. We understand that conflicts are inherent to any social system, so we get all the tools necessary to welcome diversity, welcome conflict and work through them, and see conflicts as an invitation for intimacy and deepening relationship. We transform the idea of power over to power with. It's a great, great module. That's the one I most like to engage with, the social design.
On May 19th, the theme of the conference was Change, Innovation, and Action, for better understanding of personal transformation from different angles. With the group sharing and discussing ideas about the inspired actions we need to take together and as individuals for peace and sustainability.
We are the people. We're all around this Mother Earth. We are the powers of the universe.
Many times we've talked about peace, many times we've protested in the name of peace. Actually, we've created wars.
It is our responsibility to send the message of the vision to those who are taking care of what we call government, because it is for the benefit of the vision.
In the afternoon, all conference participants joined the working session, Open Space, Action, co-creating a world we really want to be part of. During the session, everyone was inspired and started to share their passions, insights, ideas, and personal projects in self-organized work groups.
If they suffer from a coronary heart attack, somebody might have to do resuscitation.
Around the old city. There will be a marathon from Jericho to Jerusalem over the old path. And there will be a caravan of fools, which is us.
We are all so vital, because when we go through, we all go through.
the earth and the turbulence.
The conference concluded with Dr. Bisangguo's talk, a call to action.
If we are part of the divine spirit, and then we can change.
And a very warm-hearted closing song led by Wind Eagle and Rainbow Hawk.